Revealed. How my puppy and young sister's accidental bond transformed 10 lives in just 3 days. Mia sat cross-legged on the cold, gray floor of her bedroom, feeling like a ghost in her own home. Amidst the constant sound of her parents' hurried footsteps and ringing phones, she blended into the walls, invisible to her busy family. The bills piled high on the counter seemed to breathe despair into the air, and every tick of the clock felt like a reminder that the American dream was slipping further away. But then everything shifted dramatically when Charlie, a scruffy little puppy with matted fur and big, hopeful eyes, wandered into their lives. It all started on that sunny Saturday morning when Mia's 8-year-old sister, Lily, stumbled upon Charlie in their backyard. The pup wagged his tail, a mix of dirt and hope, melting the barriers that had begun to choke Lily, who was battling loneliness at school from the bullying that surrounded her learning differences. Mia watched from the sidelines as Lily and Charlie quickly formed an unbreakable bond. They were like two lost souls finding home in each other. Their afternoons were spent in a whirlwind of laughter and tiny adventures. Mia noticed how Charlie brought out the spark in Lily, who often wore a mask of fear. With every giggle, the chains of anxiety vanished, replaced by an aura of joy radiating through their chaotic backyard, a place once filled with weighty silence. Mia clung to the shadows, a bitter stir of jealousy bubbling inside her. Didn't she deserve a bit of that joy too? Everything felt so close yet so far as Mia observed her sister basking in Charlie's affection. The puppy nuzzled against Lily's cheek, offering uncomplicated love that seemed to erase her worries, if only for a moment. Mia wished for a glimpse of that warmth herself, but the brightness around Lily only reinforced her invisibility. And just when a small spark of happiness flickered before her, the universe threatened to snuff it out entirely. An eviction notice arrived. Each word became weightier than the last. Mia felt the breath catch in her throat. How could they lose their home when Lily had just found solace? It was unfair, cruel even. Just when it seemed like they finally found their footing, the ground slipped beneath them. Drowning in despair, she found herself screaming silently. Why would life do this when they were finally happy? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Amidst the turmoil, Mia made a startling discovery. Charlie had an unexpected gift. He became a bridge between their family and the neighbors, comforting those struggling within their community. He brought people together to share stories and moments of support, revealing the world beyond the walls of her home. Mia watched as the pressure in the air eased, realizing she could lean into this spirit of togetherness rather than retreat further into envy. Just when it felt like Mia might take a step toward her own happiness, an unexpected obstacle arose, threatening to derail everything. Could she accept her sister's joy while also carving out a space for herself in this newfound community? Was it possible for love to break down the walls that had trapped her heart? In that moment, with uncertainty swirling around her, Mia took a deep breath, ready to confront the very question that lingered in the air. Could togetherness light a path through their darkness? Mia's heart raced as she watched the neighborhood slowly take shape. Charlie was making magic happen, opening doors she didn't know existed. Every day it seemed more people came over to meet the scruffy puppy. At first they arrived timidly, peeking through the chain-link gate. But soon they were laughing, sharing treats, and trading stories about their own struggles. It felt like his joyful energy was contagious. Lily was thriving, the friendships blossoming around her, and Charlie made that nasty knot of anxiety ease. Mia caught glimpses of her sister drenched in sunshine while the laughter filled the air. Soon they had the neighbors over for backyard cookouts. Charlie pranced around, a central figure of joy, as if he knew he was their shared treasure. Mia was awash with complicated emotions. She could see Lily shining, but her own light felt dim. It was hard not to feel bitter, even when she wanted nothing more than to be happy for Lily. As adults fussed over bills and problems, it became clear they were all in this together. Yet there was no escaping that feeling of being left behind. Just then, as she stood on the edge of the yard, feeling invisible, Mrs. Ramirez, an elderly neighbor with kind eyes and a warm smile, called her over. "Mia, come help us with the barbecue." Mrs. Ramirez beckoned, and for a moment Mia hesitated. What could she contribute? What if they didn't want her help? But with a deep breath she walked over, determined to push back the whispering doubts. "You're good with Charlie, aren't you? He's made our community feel alive again," Mrs. Ramirez said, tossing her an apron. Mia felt a spark of warmth bloom in her chest. Could it be that maybe, just maybe, she had something to offer too? As the afternoon sun dipped lower, the laughter and light continued to flood the yard. Mia started tossing burger patties on the grill, feeling more connected. The sizzling sound became a backbeat to the chatter and bark of Charlie, stretching excitedly at the feet of the guests. With every turn of the spatula, Mia began to shed her underlying loneliness. For the first time in a long time, she shared in both the joy and the worry. The conversations were rich and varied, diving deep into personal stories of struggle against life's relentless tide. She listened to them talk about bills, hardships, and bullying, and in that moment, she felt solidarity. It was in the middle of these connections, however, when she heard a soft whimper behind her. Charlie had brought someone new, a neighbor's shy son named Ben. Timid hands reached out to pet him, but the boy seemed unsure. Mia looked down at the puppy and felt an instinctive pull to help. Maybe this was her chance to create her own bond, to bridge her world with someone else. Mia knelt down and welcomed Ben to join them. She smiled, hoping to pull him into the warmth surrounding them. But just as she extended her hand in friendship, an angry commotion erupted from the street. The sharp voices cut through the laughter, followed by the sound of a car screeching to a halt. Mia's heart sank. What was happening? "Stay close, Mia," her mother called, the worry in her voice unmistakable. As the noise grew louder, Mia stood frozen, watching as fear crept back in, threatening to snuff out the light they had all found. What could possibly be coming next? Mia's gaze drifted to the street, where a group of teenagers had gathered, their voices rising and falling in anger. Charlie sensed her tension, his ears perking up. The playful twinkle in his eyes shifted, and he looked to her, as if asking what was wrong. "Stay here with Ben," she whispered, trying to sound calm, although her heart thudded heavily in her chest. She stepped closer to the gate, hoping to glimpse what was causing the disruption. "What's going on?" someone asked, and Mia turned to see her mother edging forward too. Concern etched on her face as she cocked her head to listen. The commotion centered around a man who had just gotten out of an old beat-up car. He raised his voice, gesturing wildly, and Mia couldn't catch every word, but she felt the weight of each angry shout. It was tense, filled with an urgency that swallowed the warmth of the afternoon. "Just leave us alone. We didn't do anything," a boy shouted back, the strain in his voice cutting through the air. The energy shifted. It was no longer the laughter and light just moments before. Instead, it promised confrontation, shadows creeping back into the sunny backyard. Mia felt Ben's small hand grasp her sleeve. She turned, finding him staring wide-eyed at the unfolding drama, his fear palpable. "Mia, I want to go home," he murmured, squeezing her arm tighter. Hey, it's okay," Mia said, crouching down to meet his eyes, forcing a smile that didn't reach her own. "Let's South just stay close to Charlie. He'll protect us." She lifted the puppy's chin and he wagged his tail, blissfully unaware of the gravity looming just outside. But then, a scream pierced the air as a girl darted forward from the crowd, towards the man. "Stop it. You can't just come here and yell at us." She was small, but her voice cracked like thunder, demanding attention. The tension thickened, an invisible barricade rising around the yard. Mia felt frozen in place, trapped between her desire to run inside and her instinct to protect those around her. "What is happening?" her mother murmured, her voice a mix of fear and disbelief. The other neighbor stood hesitant, waiting to see if this could blow over peacefully. Mia's heart pounded. She realized she had to choose. She could retreat into the safety of her home, back to the comforting chaos of burnt burgers and laughter, or she could stand her ground. Giving Ben a reassuring nod, she stood up, the apron still tied around her waist like armor. "Ben, we're fine," she assured him softly. "Just breathe with me." She took a deep breath, then exhaled slowly, and he mimicked her, his tiny chest rising and falling with hers. The yelling escalated, voices clashing like thunder, but in that chaos, Mia felt a flicker of determination light inside her. Here she was, in a moment that mattered. This was her neighborhood and her community. Whether they liked it or not, she was part of this. Suddenly inspiration struck. Maybe Charlie could help calm things down. He was the heart of this gathering after all. With a quick glance at Ben to ensure he was okay, Mia took a cautious step forward, ready to lead him back to the scene. Charlie bounded beside her, eager to sprinkle good vibes on the unfurling anxiety. "Everyone look!" Mia called out, her voice ringing clear over the noise. "Charlie is here. He's our little hero." There was a brief pause, all eyes shifting towards her, or more accurately to Charlie, who stood wagging his tail, eyes bright. If the crowd could be swayed, then maybe there was still hope. But would it be enough to break the tension? Would Charlie's furry charm carry them through this storm? With bated breath, Mia braced herself for their reaction, hoping she had just sparked something that could mend the ailing spirit of the community. The crowd held its breath, all eyes glued to Charlie. The beat of silence stretched painfully before a few reluctant chuckles broke free, mixing with the anger still simmering in the air. Mia felt a wave of hope wash over her, as if Charlie's innocent waggling could somehow absorb the hostility around them. "Look at him. He just wants to play," Mia said, edging further into the fray. If she could coax a smile from even one person, it might be enough to diffuse the brewing storm. Charlie loves everyone, even when they're mad. Someone in the back cracked a smile, and Mia latched onto it like a lifeline. She took a step forward and Charlie followed, head held high, tail wagging like a tiny flag of peace. "What's going on?" Mia called again, her voice steadying. "Can we talk about it? Get Charlie in on the conversation?" Murmurs rippled through the group, a blend of confusion and curiosity. The girl who had shouted earlier paused, her defiance faltering as she eyed Charlie. "Yeah. Well, this guy is just annoying us." Her voice lost some of its bite as she gestured to the man who had first arrived on the scene. "He thinks he can just show up and bully us. We haven't done anything wrong." "Then let us figure it out together," Mia offered. "No fighting, just talking." She met the girl's gaze, determination shining in her own. "Look, this isn't about you or him. We're all neighbors. Let us not let anger break that apart." The man stood stock still, consternation playing across his features as he watched Charlie bouncing around, exploring the grass, blissfully unaware of human conflict. For a moment, anger seemed less appealing than the sight of the little dog enjoying whatever warmth and attention he could find. "Who are you, kid?" the man asked, his voice softer now, curiosity sparking beneath layers of frustration. "Mia," she introduced herself, taking a deep breath, emboldened by the tiny strides they were making. "I live right there." She pointed toward her house, feeling a sense of pride swell in her chest. "I just think we should remember that it's better to talk things out than to yell and scream." One of the teenagers finally stepped forward, skepticism mingling with interest. "What do you mean? What's there to talk about? Why don't we sit down?" Mia suggested, glancing around to gauge the mood. "We're all friends here, right? Let us just be honest." The tension felt like thick fog slowly lifting. Mia felt a bond forming, the solidarity of neighbors held together by their love for Charlie and the shared experience of their community. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Ben gingerly stepped forward, clutching Charlie's collar. "Maybe we could make hot dogs later?" A few chuckles erupted. "Seriously?" One boy laughed, cocking his head. "You want to cook in the middle of whatever this is? Why not?" Ben insisted, his innocent enthusiasm infectious. "Hot dogs are always a good idea," Mia chimed in, flashing a grin. "Food makes everything better." A smile spread across the crowd, inching further away from conflict, and Mia could sense the shift. This was what they needed. A moment of connection reminiscent of good times. But just as she felt the first glimmers of peace, the loud honking of a horn sliced through the conversation. All heads turned to see a second car rounding the corner, its headlights glaring against the fading warmth of sunlight. Anxiety snapped back to the surface as the urgency of the moment returned. What now? Mia thought, her heart racing once more. Who was in the car? And how would they impact this fragile truce? Would another argument start? Or could Mia's budding bravery hold strong against whatever storm approached? The car rolled to a stop and the engine quieted, but the tension didn't ease. Curious eyes narrowed, the playful camaraderie suddenly replaced by unease. A tall figure emerged, silhouetted against the bright headlights, momentarily casting long shadows over the crowd. Mia's heart raced as she tried to read the newcomer's face, hoping for kindness. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a woman in her 30s with determined eyes. She looked around, taking in the gathering with an intensity that made Mia's stomach churn. The woman's gaze fell on the arguing man and the group of teenagers, as if measuring the severity of the situation. "Megan!" one of the teenagers exclaimed, relief flooding over his features. "You're back." "Yeah, I got the message," Megan replied, her voice steady but slightly out of breath. "I saw what was happening at the park and thought I'd check on things." She glanced at Charlie, still playfully wagging his tail, oblivious to the tension that was building again. "And I see someone's managed to lighten the mood." Megan's approach changed everything. Like a bridge between anger and understanding, her presence instantaneously shifted the atmosphere. Mia felt a spark of hope igniting within her. This woman might just be the voice of reason they needed. "Maybe we could all sit down, huh?" Megan suggested, crossing her arms as she leaned forward slightly. There's clearly a lot to unpack here. The man who had been shouting stepped forward again, his anger replaced with a question. "What's there to figure out? We're just trying to enjoy our own space and he keeps keeping it light, it seems." Megan interjected, a calm authority in her tone. "Why don't we start fresh? Forget names for a minute. Just people. I think it's time to share what's really going on." Mia nodded in agreement, feeling that spark grow into flames. If Megan could lead with understanding, so could she. We're all neighbors, right? This doesn't have to be about fighting. Suddenly, the teenage girl who had been skeptical before looked at Mia and the others, uncertainty playing across her features. I just don't want anyone making our park all chaotic," she admitted, earning collective nods. "That makes complete sense," Mia replied, her voice softer now. "I think we can find a way for everyone to enjoy the park without the chaos. Right, Charlie?" Charlie seemed to sense the shift in energy, bounding over to Megan and rolling over on his back, inviting scratches. An unexpected laugh bubbled up from the group, and several smiles broke through the tension. "See," Megan pointed out, "if a little puppy can bring our hearts together, we could probably do the same." As conversation resumed, Mia began to feel the heavy clouds of anger parting for blue skies of understanding. But just as she felt that they were settling into something positive, Mia's phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. A quick glance revealed her sister's name flashing across the screen. "Excuse me for a second," she said, stepping aside. "Where are you?" Her sister's worried voice came through. "I heard yelling. Is everything okay?" Mia's heart sank. Her sister's innocent fear was a stark reminder of the fragility of this moment. "I'm fine. But there's something happening here," she reassured her, feeling the weight of responsibility intertwining with a sense of hope. How could she explain it, though? How would her sister understand the potential for community amidst conflict? With guarded breaths, Mia turned to check on the group. Could her sister's support finally help bridge these new friendships? Would her little sister's innocent perspective on things carry even more magic? Mia took a deep breath, letting the warm summer air fill her lungs. She glanced back at the group, feeling the faint thump of hope reverberate in her chest. The laughter had started to wash away the tension, but her sister's voice still echoed in her mind, reminding her just how delicate this moment was. "Is it really okay?" Her sister's voice echoed again in her thoughts. "Everything's going to be all right," she whispered to herself before returning to the gathering. She noticed Charlie sprawled on his back, soaking up affection from Megan and the teenagers alike. They were all laughing and sharing stories now, the variety of sounds mixing into an orchestra of relief. Mia slid back into the circle. "Sorry," she said, her voice full of energy. "I just needed to check in. Couldn't he be better?" Megan replied with a broad smile. "We were just talking about what we could do to keep the park as a community space that everyone can enjoy." The man who had been arguing before raised an eyebrow. "And how do you plan to make that happen?" "By listening and understanding what everyone wants, starting with you," Megan suggested, her voice steady but inviting. "Why don't you tell us why this park is so important to you?" He hesitated for a moment, glancing at the faces of the teens and then at Mia. Something shifted in his eyes, a glimmer of vulnerability that hadn't been there before. "It's where my kids play, where we have cookouts. It's special, why no?" It is special, Mia jumped in, feeling a connection forming between them. And that's why we all want to keep that feeling alive. A few of the teenagers nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting an understanding that bridged the gaps they had unknowingly created. Slowly, the man's expression relaxed, the remnants of anger melting away. We can start with a park cleanup day, one of the teenagers suggested, enthusiasm bubbling up. If we can make it look nice, everyone can enjoy it. That's perfect, Mia exclaimed, her heart singing. We could set up dates to play games or have picnics, getting to know one another while cleaning up together. Several voices chimed in, excitement building as they brainstormed ideas. Meanwhile, Mia noticed how Charlie instinctively shifted closer to the man, resting against his leg. It seemed everyone needed a soothing touch, even in this moment of healing. Before they could delve deeper into planning, a new voice broke through the chatter. Hey guys! A cheerful shout came from the path leading to the park. Mia turned to see her sister scampering towards them, a bright smile plastered across her young face. I came to help. The group went silent for a brief second, taken aback by the girl's sudden arrival. Then laughter erupted again. The tension that had loomed earlier dissipated like fog under sunlight. Mia's heart warmed as she watched her sister approach, her innocence a beautiful contrast to the complex emotions swirling just moments before. Mia! Her sister's eyes sparkled with excitement as she pointed at Charlie. Can I pet him? Of course, Mia said, motioning her closer. He loves the attention. As her sister knelt beside Charlie, the connection between the puppy and the child was instant. It was genuine, pure joy radiating from them, igniting sparks all around. Mia could hardly contain her joy. Maybe her sister would become the secret ingredient in this melting pot of emotions. Just as conversations blossomed into laughter again, Mia felt a surge of energy, the kind that orchestrated passionate movements within her soul. Her heart raced because she suddenly knew they were standing on the brink of something even bigger than just the park. What were they capable of achieving when the world came together? As the vibrations of excitement filled the air, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that more surprises were ahead. What would happen next? Mia watched as her sister giggled, ruffling Charlie's fur with both tiny hands. It was miraculous how the little girl could draw smiles from anyone who watched. The bond that was forming was magnetic, like a light shining through the clouds, spreading warmth. Just then, a new idea sparked in Mia's mind: a community event, powered by the fresh energy in the air. What if we combine the cleanup with a day of fun? Mia proposed, her eyes twinkling with enthusiasm. Like a park day? We can have games, BBQs, and yes, a big old cleanup too, all in one. The group reacted positively, nods of agreement and whispered excitement circling around. The man who had been hesitant earlier looked intrigued. So, you're saying we can turn this into a day that celebrates the park, not just clean it? Exactly, Mia answered, her heart pounding with exhilaration. People need a reason to come out, to remember how much we all love this space. We can gather everyone, families, kids, even the teens, and show that this park belongs to all of us. A sudden shout from a teenager drew their attention. How about a soccer match? That'll bring everyone out and encourage some healthy competition. Mia could hardly keep up with the flow of ideas. It felt like all their burdens were lifting, replaced by the sound of hope and creativity. Each suggestion was like a rung on a ladder, pushing them higher toward something wonderful. Baking contest. Someone shouted. Picnic blanket race. Another chimed in. Fundraising for park improvements. The enthusiasm began to ripple outward, gathering strength and momentum amongst them as they fleshed out the details. Mia noticed her sister still kneeling next to Charlie. They seemed almost oblivious to the planning and chatter, lost in their own world of laughter and soft puppy barks. The innocence of that moment filled Mia with powerful nostalgia, reminding her of simpler days spent in the company of those she loved. This is what it's all about, she murmured to herself, her heart swelling as she looked at the group around her. Building something bigger than ourselves. Just then, a shadow flickered across the ground, pulling Mia from her thoughts. She turned to see a tall figure approaching Mayor Thompson. He had been a consistent looker of business around town but was now moving with purpose toward their gathering. The laughter quieted, and everyone shifted their attention to him. Mia! He called out, a genuine smile breaking his serious demeanor. I heard there's talk about revitalizing the park. Is that right? Yes, Mayor. We're planning a park day to clean up and celebrate it, Mia responded, a rush of nervous anticipation coursing through her. Mayor Thompson's gaze softened, the tension under his brow easing. I'm very much in support of community initiatives, he started, looking over the young faces ready with enthusiasm. I'd love to partner with you. Mia's stomach flipped. Really? You mean it? Absolutely. Let us arrange a meeting to discuss everything and see how the town can help. A wave of excitement surged through the group as cheers erupted from the teens and community members. They were buzzing now, a unity forming that felt almost palpable. But amid the euphoria, Mia felt something deeper stirring, a mixture of apprehension and hope. What if everything fell apart? What if their dreams didn't come true? She couldn't shake an old fear lurking just beneath the surface. Still, the air was electric. As Mayor Thompson began talking about the logistics of getting the town involved, Mia felt hope blossom in her chest once more. Could this day really be the start of something bigger for everyone? Just as she was about to speak, a loud bark shattered the moment. Charlie dashed toward the bushes, urging everyone to follow. What in the world? Mia laughed, her heart racing. The group hastily gathered, lingering anticipation buzzing through their voices. What could they possibly find hidden in the tall grass? Mia's laughter echoed across the park as Charlie plunged into the tall grass, the rustling sound of leaves and excited barks creating an infectious energy. The crowd moved as one, uncertainty and thrill mixing in every heart. What surprise awaited them just beyond the green? Come on, Charlie! One of the teenagers shouted, racing after the dog. As if sensing the crowd's eagerness, Charlie bounced back, his tail wagging furiously, as if he held the secret to their joy. Mia couldn't help but feel that same spark of joy bubbling inside her. It seemed magical how one little dog could change the mood so quickly. Watching her sister run with glee after Charlie made the anticipation feel electric. As they gathered near the bushes, Charlie suddenly froze, peering into the shadows. The little girl reached out, her tiny fingers brushing the leaves, curiosity in her wide, bright eyes. What is hiding in there? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Mayor Thompson leaned down. His curiosity piqued too. The group shifted closer, their faces filled with wonder. Let us find out, he exclaimed, rallying everyone's spirits with a gentle nudge. Mia urged her sister ahead, encouraging her to peek behind the branches. Just then Charlie, with his boundless energy, burst through the foliage and emerged with something small clutched in his mouth. It was a baseball. Mia couldn't contain a laugh as Charlie dropped it at her feet, tail wagging like a pendulum. The collective gasp echoed among her friends and neighbors, a forgotten piece of joy. A sign from the past perhaps, buried but not lost. That could be from our neighborhood league, one of the parents chimed in, pulling the ball closer to inspect it. It's been years since we used to play here every week. Mia felt a rush of nostalgia wash over her. That little ball represented countless summer afternoons spent with her friends, laughter and competition filling the air. What if we could bring that back? She suggested, her heart racing again. A neighborhood league games once a week in the park. We could start right after the cleanup. The realization hit them hard. It wasn't just about cleaning, it was about creating memories again, just like they had in the past. Count me in for a team, someone shouted, and the excitement rippled through the crowd again. Talk of games, players, and practices began to swirl in the air, rekindling connections that time had faded. Mia's heart soared. They were not just bringing the park back to life. They were reviving the community spirit that had once thrived there. As she looked around, she could see smiles, laughter, and renewed determination weaving through the faces of her friends, neighbors, and her sister. But could they really pull it off? New ideas sparked with each conversation, but buried deep was that gnawing fear: what if it all fell apart before it even began? Then, from the bushes came another surprise. With Charlie as their guide, Mia and the crowd turned to see a small box tucked away among the plants. The kind of box that might hold secrets or forgotten memories. What the heck is that? One of the teens whispered, eyes wide with intrigue. Mia knelt down to inspect it, her pulse raced. What could it hold? A treasure from the past? Or a new beginning? She felt her sister's tiny hand clasp hers tightly, mirroring the swell of anticipation in her chest. Just as Mia was about to pull it open, She caught sight of a shadow moving behind them, a familiar figure with a frown etched on his face. It was Jason, someone she had once considered a friend but hadn't spoken to in months. What did Jason have to do with this moment? And was their connection worth rekindling? The air was thick with tension, her heart pounding louder than ever. What would they find inside the box? And what did it all mean for their budding community? Mia's heart raced, the heaviness of Jason's sudden presence pressing in. The familiar face brought a whirlwind of memories, some sweet, others bittersweet. She could feel the ears of the crowd perk up, whispers flowing like a river of curiosity. What was he doing here? Hey Mia, Jason said, his brow creased with concern. What's going on? She straightened up, glancing back at the box which seemed to pulse with secrets, waiting for the right moment to emerge. We found something, she exclaimed, trying to mask her nerves. A baseball. And now this. She gestured toward the small box, her voice holding on to the excitement bubbling in her chest as if sensing every shift of her emotions. Charlie let out a playful bark, drawing Jason's attention to the dog. For a moment the tension lifted, laughter resurfacing in Jason's eyes as Charlie danced around, pulling the focus back to the gathering. What is it? Jason asked, curiosity creeping in. The crowd leaned forward, eager to see what it hid. Mia felt a spark of defiance. You were part of this community once, right? Why not help? Her words hung in the air. The challenge mingled with hope. She could see Jason's hesitation flicker, a struggle crossing his stoic face, but the warmth of collective eyes seemed to soften his frown. Sure, let us check it out, he finally replied, his voice steadier. The change in his demeanor felt like a small victory. Gingerly, Mia reached down and brushed away the dirt from the box. The wood was weathered, worn from time and weather but sturdy. People shifted, anticipation humming through the group. Children stood on tiptoes, their faces alight with excitement. Her sister squeezed her hand tighter. Taking a deep breath, Mia lifted the lid. It creaked open, revealing a collection of items wrapped in aged newspaper. A gasp echoed, and it felt as if the crowd breathed in collectively, the air thick with enchantment and mystery. The first item was an old photograph, faded but beautiful, a group of children playing baseball in this very park, bigger smiles than she had ever seen. Recognition flashed through the crowd. Murmurs of "I remember him and that's my cousin," rising like a tide. Oh wow, look at that, Mia exclaimed, her fingers tracing the edges of the photograph. She glanced up at Jason, who appeared emotionally charged. This is your dad, I assent it? Jason nodded, his face a mixture of pride and nostalgia. Yeah. He used to be the best pitcher around. His voice was softer now, revealing a side she had nearly forgotten. Mia smiled, understanding there was a connection being forged right here in the middle of the park. Could be like this again. We could build something, draw everyone back together. As they continued pulling out items, old mitts, trophies covered in dust, and faded jerseys, the energy shifted. It wasn't just a box. It was history, a bridge to the past. Mia glanced at the faces in the crowd. She could see two neighbors reconnecting, the way laughter bubbled up as old stories were shared. People began to step forward, ideas flowing once more. They could host a baseball game, unite their stories, perhaps even celebrate the old while welcoming the new. Hope danced in the air, a shared dream igniting in everyone's heart. But waves of uncertainty still washed over Mia. Could they really bring back the magic? What if some weren't ready to reunite? What if the courage to reclaim lost connections wasn't enough? Jason stepped closer, sensing her dilemma without her saying a word. Together, Mia. We can do this. If you're in, he said, offering her a small but reassuring smile. Mia took a deep breath, feeling that spark return, embers glowing brighter. Then let us do it. Just then a shout rang out. Look, there's more. One of the kids had discovered something else at the bottom, the edges of a shiny metal object peeking through the debris. Mia's pulse quickened again. What else was hidden here? What stories would unfold? As they leaned closer, a chilling thought crossed her mind. Could this change everything? Not just for them but for the entire community? Would the unexpected connection spark by extending beyond baseball, unveiling something deeper? The laughter that had momentarily filled the air began to fade, replaced with whispers of uncertainty as more and more eyes focused intently on that shiny discovery. What lay ahead? Would it bind them together or pull them apart? Mia's heart raced as she crouched by the box, the world around her fading into a hushed silence. The shiny metal object glimmered temptingly, demanding attention. Curiosity mingled with fear, creating a tension that lingered in the air. Everyone waited, eyes wide, as if the discovery could ignite hope or unveil darkness. Braving the uncertainty, Mia reached in carefully. She pulled out a rusted key, its edges rough from time. The crowd gasped. "What's it for?" A voice whispered. Mia studied it, feeling its history coursing through her fingers. It felt like a promise. A chance to unlock something precious, not just secrets but possibilities. Then someone shouted, "Could it be a key to the old community center?" Mia's eyes flicked up, remembering the community stories her parents had told. The center had been a haven, a place for families to gather before life took over. Suddenly, it felt like their world had just expanded with potential. "What if we cleaned it up and made it the heart of our neighborhood again?" Jason suggested softly, glancing at Mia. Their eyes locked, unspoken understanding filling the moment. "New and old neighbors," he continued, "all coming together." "Yeah," Mia blurted, adrenaline coursing through her. "It could be a place for games, dinners, discussions. We could host our park day there, invite everyone." The energy shifted. Excitement buzzed in the air like fireflies on a warm summer night. The thought of a gathering space reshaped what felt lost and brittle into something vibrant and new. People began to speak over each other, their ideas blending together like a beautiful tapestry of hope. "I'll help organize events," someone declared. "Let us plan a cleaning day," another added. Smiles spread across faces as laughter crackled back into the mix. Mia surveyed her surroundings. Her gaze settled on her sister kneeling with Charlie by her side, both awash in childlike joy. The sweetness of that moment thundered through her heart, a reminder of the beauty they were all fighting for. It was about building a shared home, not just for themselves, but for every child who ran carefree. In that moment, she felt her own bitterness evaporate, replaced by an overwhelming sense of belonging. She was ready to fight for this community, to nurture it, to ensure no one ever felt as invisible as she once had. This wasn't just about cleaning a park or restoring a building. It was about forging connections. Mia, her mother called, breaking through the chatter, her voice tinged with pride. "You brought everyone together. Look at what you've done." Tears pricked at Mia's eyes as her heart swelled, warmth flooding through her. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she didn't feel invisible. She could stand in the sun, bathed in the glow of their newfound unity. "I didn't do it alone," she replied, voice thick with emotion. "We did it together." A chorus of agreement rang out, each voice uniting to create a single powerful mantra. Community, hope, transformation. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden glow over her neighborhood, Mia understood something vital. It was the connections they forged through shared struggle, laughter, and love that mattered. Thanks to Charlie, to her sister's innocent joy, and to the people around her, they were all stronger together. Inspired, Mia glanced back at Jason. He was smiling, eyes gleaming with a spark she hadn't seen before. Maybe their path forward didn't need to feel daunting. They could share the joys as well as the burdens, fostering deeper connections rather than allowing fear to break them apart again. With a determined breath, she held the key high for everyone to see. "Let us unlock our future together." The crowd erupted, cheers echoing through the park, laughter intertwining with hopes for a better tomorrow. Her heart soared, the weight of doubt lifting as they stood united. The transformation was real, the joyful noise wrapped around them like a protective blanket. It was a new beginning, a promise of what they could create hand in hand. Now was the moment to build bonds that would stand the test of time, to remember that family extended beyond bloodlines. As stars began to twinkle overhead, Mia whispered a silent thanks into the darkness, gratitude for Charlie, for Lily, for everyone who had shown her that belonging begins with reaching out, bridging hearts, and unlocking the door to connection. And just like that, a community was reborn. Don't wait not even one more second to share this message. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire true change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this positivity flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this transformation. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. You need to support this channel, show your love for stories that matter.